Stan Gibelisco here, proprietor and operator of amateur radio station W1GV Whiskey 1. Good vibrations. It is June 23rd, 2016, and I'm sure of that. Thursday, I checked the calendar to be sure I didn't get my dates screwed, because in only 2 days, the 2016 ARRL Field Day will be in full progress. And here in the Black Holes, we're expecting gorgeous weather, highs in the 80s and 90s down low on the prairies, and lows in the 50s up here way up here in the holes, and maybe the 70s or even 80s down in the prairies. Very few bugs plague us in this particular location of the holes, but I plan on simply performing a few tests of my emergency power system, which comprises an uninterruptible power supply, which keeps the station running for about 10 to 15 minutes if it's going full blast, and maybe 30 minutes if only the lights are on, until I can hook up the generator and get going on emergency power. I also plan to test my station in quasi-QRP mode, 10 watts output. CW, most likely on 20 meters. Not a whole lot of time. I don't plan to spend a lot of time on the radio because it's going to be such a gorgeous weekend. I want to go outside and go to the swimming pools or maybe Pactola Reservoir, or get a little bit of color in this pale ham radio face of mine. But I have a question for you, and so I'm going to leave comments open. It's a very important question and something you still have time at this point as I make this video to consider. What do you plan to barbecue on field day? Plain old hot dogs, or maybe something more fancy like ribs with all that sauce, that Italian sauce, or any kind of sauce you want? Do you plan to do high class steaks, or just get some regular old steaks at the grocery store? You got to have a barbecue if you are a club in particular and you're operating field day. If you don't, you're missing out on everything, the second best aspect of the whole business. The first, of course, being the operating. That's my favorite contest and a good time to test readiness for what may very well become a real disaster here in the Black Holes later this summer if weather keeps up as it is. But it's the kind of disaster that's so bad that you don't hang around and worry about emergency communications. You run like hell, because otherwise you might get killed. It's like a Category 5 hurricane. It's called a wildfire. And the risk of that this summer, in my opinion, in this part of the country, is already growing critical and will be extreme within a month or maybe 2. So we'll get a chance to practice our field day after the event, and we can get back here and help those who are foolish enough to stay. But in a Category 5 hurricane, just like a Category 5 wildfire, there's only one thing that you do for the event itself, and that's get the hell out. Good news and bad news prior to field day, but practice your emergency operating and emergency communication skills if you live in this part of the country particularly, and also in the desert Southwest, because you may very well soon need those skills for real. As for the barbecue, well, There's nothing wrong with barbecuing after an emergency either. You got to eat, don't you? Might as well be good food, even if all the rest of the landscape around you is cooked even more well done than the barbecued food itself. Where is this gray matter going? It's going to da 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 da. No 73s or so longs during those contacts. Just the information. Just the facts, my friend. Stan Gibilisco signing off now. Don't forget to answer that question. What are you going to barbecue for the real, honest-to-goodness practice event? And then maybe you'll get a good idea of what to barbecue when a real disaster hits. Stan Gibilisco signing off. Until field day, so long.